This is Hope Channel Zambia, television that changes lives. You're just in time for the news. Let's take a look at stories making headlines. Youth and women's clubs in Kaumbwe receive 488,000 kwacha CDF grants. Government unveils new Zambia Airports Corporation's limited board members. Continued gambling using bonanza machines by toddlers dismay ward councillor. And in international news, Sydney Adventist Hospital ranked world's best. I'll be back with details after this. What is coronavirus disease?
Coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, is a respiratory disease which can infect anyone and can lead to death.
How does it spread?
It spreads by being in close contact to an infected person, being close to a person who has been exposed to a coronavirus-infected person, or touching surfaces or objects that are contaminated with the coronavirus.
What are the symptoms?
Fever, cough, difficulty in breathing or shortness of breath, body ache or headache.
How can one prevent contracting the coronavirus?
Wash your hands regularly with soap and water for at least 20 seconds or use hand sanitizer. Avoid physical contact with other people by keeping a safe distance of at least 1 meter. Cook meat, eggs, and other animal products thoroughly before eating. Cover your nose and mouth with flexed elbow or tissue when coughing or sneezing, and throw the tissue in a bin. Avoid handshakes, hugging, and kissing to reduce the chances of getting exposed to the coronavirus. Avoid unprotected contact with live farm animals. Stay at home and avoid unnecessary traveling, whether you have the symptoms or not.
If you have a fever, cough, sore throat, headache, or difficulty in breathing, call 909 or 0974 493553 or 0964 638726 and 0953 898941 for assistance today.
This message is brought to you by the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, ADRA, in partnership with the Ministry of Health.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Bright Sinkos with the details, and our sign language caster is Tom Chilambwe. Government has approved 488,000 kwacha Constituency Development Fund, CDF, for empowerment grants under Kaumbwe constituency to 49 youth cooperatives and women's clubs. Kaumbwe Member of Parliament Dr. Aaron Mwanza announced in Petauke yesterday the approval of the grants, which are part of the 25.7 million CDF allocation for this year. Dr. Mwanza says the 488,000 kwacha will be channeled to various cooperatives and clubs in the area. Sambo David reports that Dr. Mwanza was speaking in Petauke yesterday during the disbursement of the first quarter CDF. The Kaumbwe lawmaker said the approval of the CDF empowerment grants are a testimony of government's commitment to serving the people of Petauke at grassroots level, adding that people in the area have brilliant projects but lacked support in the past. Dr. Mwanza said his office remains open and committed to assisting cooperatives and clubs which have viable ideas in order to build and develop Kaumbwe constituency for the benefit of the people. And Petauke Council Secretary Bupe Mutanya said submissions for the second, third, and fourth quarter CDF were already done to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, and the local authority awaits feedback on the approval. Mr. Mutanya adds that monitoring and evaluation of the performance of the CDF projects would be done to evaluate their performance and ensure that the funds are put to good use. He urged those not part of the first quarter CDF funds not to lose hope, as they will be considered in the second, third and fourth quarter disbursement. Meanwhile, Petauke District Commissioner Ms. Martha Mulenga has urged CDF beneficiaries to put the money to good use for development, to be attained and to improve their livelihoods. And one of the beneficiaries, Joyce Tembo, has thanked government for releasing the funds to Kaumbwe constituency. She thanked government for increasing CDF to 25.7 million kwacha from the previous 1,600,000 kwacha and promised to use the money for the intended purpose.
The empowerment funds we are handing over today are an expression of the commitment to government for serving our people in all corners of the constituency in order to uplift their living standards. These cooperatives and clubs receiving the grants today have had project proposals, but they could not materialize or be implemented because of lack of funds. Based on the government's decision to increase the constituency development fund from the initial 1.6 million to 25.7, has enabled these groups to access funds in form of grants to help them realize their dreams. This support will enable our people to carry out various developmental projects in Kaumbwe constituency. This seed money has the capacity to transform our constituency if utilized according to the plans submitted by the cooperatives.
And the amount of money to be dispersed today is to the tune of 488,960 kwacha 78. So these are funds that are going to disperse right away to them. We've also made submissions for the second, third, and fourth quarters for all CDF projects. Projects have been submitted to Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development for approval.
Zindalama nizolutira nini ku shopping yayi. Izindalama nizakutitika chitenazo business itechita apply. Tione kuti ni chintu choyamba chachitika pazaka zonse zakuvuli. Chifukwa cha ulamuliro wabwino wa President Hakainde Hichilema akamba kuti chitukuko chiyambire kuni kuno kunyansi.
So akakandalama kati pasa boma tieni tirute kumang'anda yala mapromises yeti promisa pa magulu kuti tichite tieni tikachite.
In other news, government has unveiled 5 new members to work as board members of the Zambia Airports Corporation Limited, ZACL. Transport and Logistics Minister Frank Tayali says board members play a critical role by providing oversight, strategic direction and overall monitoring of the corporation. Mr. Tayali said government expects board members to promote good corporate governance and diligently improve the performance of the institution. He said this at the inauguration ceremony of the Zambia Airports Corporation Limited, ZACL board members at Pamodzi Hotel in Lusaka today. Mr. Tayali urged board members to keenly follow the tenets of the new Dawn administration by not misusing funds, vehicles, and delaying completion of projects, among others. And newly appointed board chairperson Zevyanji Sinkala thanked government for their appointments. The new board members include Zevyanji Sinkala as chairperson, Frank Muntali, Mulele Maketo, Irene Tembo, and Maggie Kaunda as board members.
Frank, congratulations, Irene. Congratulations, Maggie. Excellent.
These are the 5 new board members of the Zambia Airports Corporation Limited that have been appointed by government under the Ministry of Transport and Logistics. The board members have been drawn from all walks of lives. Transport and Logistics Minister Frank Tayali officiated the occasion. Mr. Tayali said in his keynote speech that board members should work in line with the new Dawn administration guidelines.
Allow me to congratulate you on your well-deserved appointments. I have no doubt that you will carry out your duties diligently to improve the performance of the institution with your expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, the new Dawn government Minister has entrusted you to lead this organization. I am hopeful that you will prove yourselves beyond any reasonable doubt and follow the tenets of the new Dawn administration in overseeing the institution. In this regard, the following come to mind. Number one, disposal of assets including vehicles should not, I'll repeat, disposal of assets including vehicles should not be undertaken without the express authority of the Secretary to the Treasury according to the Public Financial Management Act. Number two, occupancy for airport properties must be greatly improved and reasonably priced. It does not make economic sense to have buildings that are not occupied by tenants for years. Number three, ensure that the corporation attains financial sustainability. Again, it does not make economic sense to pay dividends to the Treasury while running on an overdraft from Zanaco. Number four, the Ministry and Zambia Airports has a presidential directive to complete the Kasama airport runway by 31st December 2022. Further, the presidential directive was extended to include the tarring of all the provincial airports by next year. Furthermore, the presidential directive emphasized that we should ensure that all provincial airports have passenger terminals, fueling facilities, and cargo handling facilities that include modern aviation facilities such as fire stations and control towers within the next 5 years. I would therefore urge you to provide a priority list of all these projects. And in doing this, the Kenneth Kaunda and Simon Mwasakapwepo International Airports have to be completed, taking into consideration reasonable pricing, quality of works, and timely delivery. Within the next 1 year, resolve all the land disputes and ensure to get title deeds for all the designated airports. And lastly, but not the least, ensure that your board sorts out the current outstanding audit queries and avoid audit queries in the future.
And board members are elated for according them a chance to serve the nation.
Take note of your guidance, which you have provided in terms of the things we need to focus on in the near future. On behalf of board members, thank you for entrusting us with this privilege.
The corporation's mandate is to develop, maintain, and manage the designated airports made up of 4 international airports and 10 strategic and provincial airports. In this regard, the corporation is also mandated to provide air navigation services within the Zambian airspace. Esnatsikas Hope News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, government has disclosed that it has injected huge sums of money into the aviation sector under the Ministry of Transport and Logistics. Transport and Logistics Minister Frank Tayali said government has put the aviation sector as first priority on the development agenda by rehabilitating all the airports across the country in order for airports to thrive and the tourism sector. He was speaking this morning during the inauguration ceremony of the board members of the Zambia Airports Corporations Limited in Lusaka.
Government has invested huge sums of money into the aviation sector and has prioritized the development and rehabilitation of airports in order to provide an enabling environment for exports to thrive and the tourism sector to grow. From the words of the Republican President, His Excellency, President Hakainde Hichilema, Zambia is surely back in the Champions League and is open for business.
But the timing is bad, so I'm trying to A civic leader in Lusaka has raised concerns over the continued use of a game commonly known as bonanza by children who are supposed to be in school. Kalingalinga Ward 36 Councillor Mukubesa Nyoni is worried that despite the Lusaka City Council banning the slot machines used for gambling in townships, some unscrupulous business persons have not adhered to the directive. Mr. Nyoni has disclosed that children between 5 and 15 are now getting addicted to bonanza, making them miss classes. In an interview with Hope News, Mr. Nyoni has charged that bonanzas are affecting the smooth implementation of the free education policy because some children prefer spending time gambling than being in class.
Yes, we banned bonanzas, these gambling machines, about over a month ago, and rightly so. They are there in the compounds, and we are receiving a lot of complaints from our parents regarding the same. So we are just as as concerned as you are that why are things banned but still in existence. So our appeal is for the implementers, these people in charge of doing this work, grabbing these things, they are fighting the new Don's government of free education. You find children there in the morning, in the day, in the night, just there playing this game. So I would like to take this opportunity also to encourage the Ministry of Education to take keen interest in this matter, because we are talking about children who are going to these schools that they are presiding over. So, and also other civil societies to look into this matter that the local authority decided in their wisdom to ban. But it's like there is nothing really that is happening, and us as local leaders, as councillors, our hands are tied, because our job is to just make laws, to make bylaws for the benefit of the people. However, there are people who are mandated to do such a job, and that is where our worry is. I'm not so sure of the ultimatum, but if we are going into 2 months now, how much longer is the ultimatum? Suppose it is there. If we are talking that they are disturbing free education in our children, why should we hesitate to enforce the law? Those are the questions we should ask ourselves. Somehow maybe we are saying that argument is not there. That is why we are appealing for other stakeholders to move in so that we see this problem in the same lenses as we see them. Yes.
Thank you.
You're watching the news, and just now, let's take a break. Have more stories on the other side. Don't go away.
Are you a student starting journalism, mass communication or video production and looking for a place to do your internship? Well, Hope Channel Zambia in Kitwe is inviting you to send in your application for internship. As a student, you will be acquainted with hands-on work such as news anchoring, scripting, camera handling and TV production. That's right. Send your application and recommendation letters from your institution or college to email tjmkwambwa@gmail.com. For more details, you can call the number 0977 120891. Grab this opportunity and be part of the vibrant team. Hope Channel Zambia, a channel that changes lives.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. And now for the rest of the news. It is increasingly becoming difficult to ignore the advent of electric vehicles, otherwise known as EVs. With EVs slowly taking up the world roads, Zambia as a whole cannot fold arms and watch from a distance. With Republican President Mr. Hakainde Hichilema's recent bilateral ties with the Democratic Republic of Congo to produce lithium batteries from copper mined in the two countries, Zambia is a major contributor to the movement towards electric vehicles. As such, stakeholders recently held a consultative meeting to check Zambia's readiness to assemble electric vehicles, given the availability of copper in the country. ZESCO, which is among the major stakeholders in the process by way of providing electricity to charge the vehicles, has indicated its preparedness with pilot charging stations to soon be installed in Lusaka. And climate change ambassador Tiza Ziambo has indicated that electric motor vehicles will help in reducing greenhouse gas emissions that have adversely affected the African continent. We have more in this report. With advancement in technological development world over, the next big thing the world is getting ready to embrace is the ability to drive cars not dependent on oil energy, as indicators are showing that electric vehicles, EVs, are likely to take over from fuel-powered vehicles. In Zambia, some electric vehicles are already on the Zambian roads, some are 100% electric, with some of a hybrid nature, like this one owned by former Commerce Minister Bob Sichinga, using both electronic and fuel.
It's charging the battery. Okay? If I switch off the aircon, you'll find that it will stop in a little while. So this is telling me that if we move, it will tell me anytime I move, the motor will come on. This motor must come on, because it's driven by the motor.
Of course.
Okay? And normally the power is battery to motor, or motor to battery. It's switched off on its own.
Stakeholders are already positioning themselves moving towards the EV direction, which so far all indicators are showing that it is a welcome agenda also in Zambia. Key stakeholders in this include the Zambia Electricity Supply Company, ZESCO, which has already shown preparedness in providing charging stations across the country.
We're not going to manufacture any car. We're going to give you facilities where to charge the vehicles, or you are going to buy power from us to run those facilities for charging vehicles. Our business is to sell electricity. We may not be so much in this, but we'll be benefiting a lot. Can you imagine if all of you here, you had electric vehicles and they're charging outside? By now, I should have made a lot of money. We've already started stakeholder engagement. I'm sure this has been elaborated further by many presenters. ZESCO to develop a business model for different levels of charging points, tariff, using vendors, or sitting on distribution. Full feasibility studies off-grid and on-grid, including grid impact studies, has to be done. Aggressive awareness campaign, pilot to be done for Lusaka as a start, and smart devices.
This, however, will not only be accessible at public places, as the case is with gas stations, but residentials will also be allowed to mount charging ports of their choice, provided they would be able to meet the cost, as shall be established by ZESCO through the Energy Regulations Board, ERB.
ZESCO, we took a stand that we are ready for customers to come. If they want to set up charging points, we are ready. We're in the business of selling electricity.
For those concerned with climate issues, 100% zero emission from cars is the way to go, as Tiza Ziambo, a climate ambassador notes the effects carbon emission has on the climate.
The idea of accelerating electric vehicles in Zambia is really great and is long overdue. The reason is because climate change has hit home. Climate change has hit Zambia. And the greenhouse effect is largely contributing to climate change, of course. But we also understand that a lot of these gases in the atmosphere are exacerbated by human activities. And what this means is that human beings are at the forefront of contributing to the concentration of greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere. And also, what this means is that we have a role to play. And the introduction of electric vehicles also at least guarantees an action towards the reduction of emissions.
The question for now is whether or not Zambia will have enough energy to connect both homes and vehicles. Bright Sinkers, Hope News, Lusaka. In other news, First National Bank FNB Zambia Limited has with immediate effect reduced interest rates from as high as 27% to 20%. Head of Retail and Banking, Mwamba Musambo, disclosed this during the launch of the bank's loan buying campaign, which takes effect from now to run for the next 6 months. Ms. Musambo said in the campaign, customers who apply for the personal loans with FNB Zambia will automatically enter a monthly draw for a chance to get back their loan amount up to the maximum of 50,000 kwacha.
We are flexing and trying to see how best we can be able to support our customers. Remember, every time you see that acacia tree, it represents how can we help you, offering real help. So today we would like to announce that effective immediately, we are launching the loan buyback campaign. So what does it mean that we have a loan buyback campaign? We mean that at every month we will be giving 2 lucky winners 50,000 kwacha cash. So with that 50,000 kwacha cash, what does it mean? You can come and get a loan with us. Either if you get a loan of 100,000, we'll give you back 50,000, or you can reduce your loan by 50,000. That's real help. So this campaign is going to run over the next 6 months. Every month we will announce 2 winners that will get 50,000 kwacha and affect so many lives. I mean, in the Zambian economy, you know that 1 person affects 10 people. So we're looking forward to affecting 12 families with 50,000 kwacha every month over the next 6 months. Another exciting thing is that our interest rates are dropping. So we are dropping our interest rates. If you used to be on a scheme, which is companies that we have an agreement with, some of those loans were as high as 27%. They're coming down to as low as 20%. For some people that would walk in and get a loan with us, those interest rates were as high as 34%. Those loans are coming down to 24%. So at this point, we are announcing a drop in the interest rate, and we are also announcing that we will be buying back your loan over the next 6 months. Big emphasis for us is that the interest rate is not a campaign, but a reality. So this interest rate is not just for today or for the next 2 days. This interest rate, effective now, your loan will run at a lower interest rate. So this is not a campaign. It is us giving real help and offering our help back to customers to improve your cash flow. Because that money, when your interest rate reduces, you could use it for something else.
And finally, in international news, Sydney Adventist Hospital has once again been ranked in the Newsweek World's Best Specialized Hospitals survey for oncology, while being ranked for the first time for cardiology. The annual Newsweek survey features the top 300 hospitals for cardiology and 250 for oncology, with Sydney Adventist Hospital listed in both categories. The research included 20 countries and was conducted by market research company Statista in partnership with Newsweek. Data was gathered from 3 sources: recommendations by doctors via an online survey from these countries, publicly available patient satisfaction survey results, and publicly available medical key performance indicators KPIs on hospitals. Professor Gavin Marks, Clinical Director, Sun Integrated Cancer Center, said the hospital is delighted with the news. Professor Marks said the Sun is consistently leading the way in state surveys as well. Key features of the multidisciplinary Sun Integrated Cancer Center include state-of-the-art imaging, a full range of high-quality surgical and reconstructive services, comprehensive medical oncology services, expert on-site cancer genetics, extensive cancer support services, and patient navigations. Providing patients with access to novel medical therapies, the center's clinical trials unit participates in international trials in breast, colorectal, prostate, melanoma, and other cancers. Patients also have access to lifestyle programs designed to reduce their cancer risk. Adventist Healthcare Limited, AHCL CEO, Brett Goods, said he is incredibly proud of the excellent work by all members of the Sun's cancer teams and their recognition in an international context. The Sun has established a reputation as one of New's leading providers of private cardiac care since 1979. Head of Department for Sun Cardiology, Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, said the Sun is fortunate to have an outstanding cohort of cardiologists supported by specialist nurses, allied health and other support staff, which enable them to undertake complex cardiology procedures and provide the best care for patients. That item brings us to the end of the news. Before I go, let's take another look at stories that made headlines. Youth and women's clubs in Kaumbwe receive 488,000 kwacha CDF grants. Government unveils new Zambia Airports Corporation's Limited board members. Continued gambling using bonanza machines by toddlers dismay ward councillor. And Sidin Adventist Hospital ranked world's best. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Bright Sinkozi on behalf of my sign language interpreter, Tom Chelambwe, and the entire crew. God bless you and thanks for your time. Bye for now.